My aunt stole my fiancé for her daughter, but now everyone is crying because I took the My aunt took my fiancé for her daughter, but now they're all upset because I took the trust fund, and they've realized my ex was a deadbeat. I'm 28, and I was engaged to Ron, 27, for a year. We met in college, were friends, but not very close, and started dating after college. We had been together for 4 years. Last year, we got engaged and had a small ceremony with close family and friends. My aunt was also invited. After attending my engagement, my aunt became smitten with Ron and constantly praised how handsome and wealthy he was, which was unusual since she had never been affectionate with me before. Her daughter, Lucia, 24, is extremely beautiful, but not the brightest. My aunt constantly compared us. I excelled academically, even though Lucia was 4 years younger, and my aunt compared our grades, always commenting how Lucia was better than me. The funniest part was when she compared Lucia's 8th grade report card with my 12th grade report card and claimed Lucia was better. The joke is, Lucia didn't even graduate high school. Ron and I were planning our wedding for October, but I had to attend a summer program in the UK. Everything was fine until I left in June, and we talked once a day due to the time difference. After 2 weeks, things started to feel distant. I asked him what was going on, but he just said he was stressed with work. I thought the distance was affecting us, but I didn't take it seriously because we weren't in a new relationship. I planned to resolve it when I got back, but a week before the program ended, he stopped talking to me. I didn't chase after him because of my pride, even though it hurt. I stayed in my delusional world, thinking he'd come after me. He didn't. After some time, my aunt came over with a wedding invitation. I found out he was marrying my cousin Lucia. In the age of emails, she showed up with a printed invitation just to witness my disappointment in person. I was in shock, wondering how he could fall for my cousin, who could barely pay for her meals. My aunt soon gave me the explanation. She said, "I'm so sorry, dear. I understand your pain, but what can we do when people fall out of love? Maybe he couldn't handle the distance. Don't be mad at your cousin. Ron was the one who sought Lucia for coffee because he had nothing else to do after work. You know how beautiful my princess is. You can't blame Ron for falling for her." I just stared at her in disbelief. She continued, "Believe me, dear, I love you as much as I love Lucia." When she told me Ron confessed his love for Lucia and asked for her hand, my heart sank. My aunt tried to hug me, but I blocked her. I told her I needed to attend to something and asked her to leave. She said, "If you're thinking of contacting Ron, don't. I blocked you myself. It's not proper for my son-in-law to be in contact with his ex." I told her to screw off. I had much more to do in life than chase after other people's men. She said, "Don't be discouraged, my dear. I understand it will be difficult for you to find another man at your age and with your looks. But don't worry. There are many divorced men looking for a second chance at love. I'm sure you'll find one." I screamed for her to get out. I regretted losing my composure, but it was one of those weak moments in life when you just can't hold it together. It was much more painful than any of the past. I'm not saying it would have been easier if he had cheated with anyone else, but it would have been better. I would have cut him off and moved on. Now, I might have to deal with my aunt rubbing her daughter's prize in my face. Everyone in my friends and family knew about Ron and me, and now I feel stupid for having such a grand engagement. Now that he's marrying Lucia, the story is clear to everyone. My aunt has been spreading lies about Ron finding solace in Lucia because I was too stubborn and egocentric, claiming Ron didn't want me to go to the summer program in the UK, but I went anyway and stopped talking to him. She even said Ron suspected I was involved with someone else in the UK. I haven't been in contact with most of my relatives since I moved out. I've always been distant from them, so it was easier for my aunt to sell her lies. I feel terrible, but I know this is for the best. I got rid of the cheater. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but when you're in the middle of the dark phase, it's impossible to see it. Update 1. Hi, thanks for the support on my original post. I've been thinking about updating this for a while. I thought I'd wait until I no longer felt anything for my ex. And here we are today. Things got better, and there's a cherry on top. That phase was really dark and long. It's not that I haven't gone through a breakup before, but this was horrible because he was my fiancé. My mom stayed with me for a week, and it helped having her by my side. However, I felt sick when she left. I had been with Ron for so many years, and every place reminded me of him. I decided to leave the city, so I applied for jobs in the UK and got a promising one in Leeds. Moving away helped me heal. It felt like I was reborn. I was surprised how quickly I managed to get over it. A few days ago, my mom called and asked if Ron was unemployed. I told her he was. He quit his job a year ago to pursue writing. Ron wanted to be a writer, and he wasn't making much progress while working full-time, so we had an agreement. I would work while he laid the foundation for a writing career, and eventually, I'd leave my job so we could both work on our business. But he blew it. My mom laughed when I told her the details. She said my aunt visited her the other day and screamed, "Why didn't you tell me Ron was a bum?" My mom was confused as she thought Ron worked and was doing well financially. My aunt told her that Ron insisted Lucia take an accelerated course to get a better job and cover household expenses. The truth is, my aunt married off Lucia to Ron so they could both live off her income. Well, the joke's on them. The last I heard, Lucia works part-time as a receptionist at a restaurant making reservations. I'm not sure how they're going to live off that income. It may sound derogatory to look down on Lucia's job, but I don't care. I'd love to see the disappointment on my aunt's face when the truth about Ron comes to light. Another layer to this. My aunt was the mistress of Lucia's dad, and when he died, his wife kicked them out. That's why my aunt lived with my grandparents, who helped them financially. Lucia has always been lazy and incapable of working. She failed high school twice and finally dropped out. That receptionist job was thanks to my uncle, who recommended her. Even a receptionist job requires a high school diploma nowadays. It seems like poetic justice, but it hasn't come yet. After mourning, I decided to act. Ron was still at his job, and we bought a trust fund for our business. I had full access to it since I managed the finances, and I was putting money there every month. When I found out about his infidelity, I liquidated the fund. He has no idea. He still thinks he'll get his 50% once my anger subsides. If you think I'm a scammer, I'm not. I spent as much on him during his bad days after he quit his job. I supported him financially. What I did is fair. If we had been married, he would have received alimony. The trust fund was the closest thing, but now it's not my problem. Update 2. Christmas has been lovely. I had the satisfaction of seeing the disappointment on my ex's face. I was at my mom's house, and he came knocking on my door asking for his share of the trust fund. I told him it was gone. He went crazy. "How could you do that? We saved that money for our business," I said. "There's no we. You're my cousin's husband now." He kept pleading, explaining his situation with no job, no money, and no place to live. I told him, "I don't care. Remember what you did to me." He threatened to sue, but I reminded him I would also file charges for card theft since he used my debit card for his expenses. He left angry, and if that wasn't enough, my aunt and Lucia showed up soon after. They came over to my parents' house looking for me. They were there to ask about the trust fund money. Ron had told them I took his portion, and that now he had nothing and was broke. I told them it was none of their concern, and I wouldn't discuss my personal matters with them. Lucia kept bothering me, saying that her future was at stake, and I told her that the concept was beyond her understanding, so it was better for her to stay away from it. My aunt yelled at me for insulting Lucia, saying I should lower my ego when speaking to her because she's more successful than me, since Ron left me for her. My dad came into my room after hearing my aunt's voice, and my aunt softened when she saw him. She said she was just casually talking to me about her distress. My dad said he had heard everything and warned her that if she raised her voice against me again, he would cut off all the financial support he had been giving her. He said he regretted not intervening sooner because it had allowed my aunt to humiliate me, but not anymore. My dad told her that if Lucia was so successful, she should help Ron manage the household and save them from eviction. Apparently, my aunt and Lucia didn't know about Ron's poor financial situation or the overdue rent. They were both shocked. Lucia started sobbing in front of my dad, saying Ron had ruined her life because he couldn't support her, and she was worried about where they would live if the landlord evicted them. She asked me to release Ron's part of the trust fund so they could rebuild their life. My dad said he was proud of me for standing up for myself and laughed at my aunt for going behind my back to seduce Ron for Lucia. He said she should have thought about the consequences before using her daughter. My aunt started crying, saying she did everything to secure Lucia's future. She changed her tone, saying that Lucia didn't have a father to support her like I did, and she wasn't as educated as me to earn money herself, so she had to take care of her. She thought Ron was the one who could support her daughter, but now he had betrayed her. Lucia broke down and said I could have told her Ron was unemployed, but I let my cousin marry a loser. She said she didn't blame me for that though, because I had my reasons for hiding the truth. My dad stood up and asked them to leave. Those who turned their backs on me to seduce my fiancé and then came to rub in my face that their daughter was marrying him should leave now that things were falling apart. Now, she was blaming me for not telling her the truth about Ron. Before they left, I told my aunt not to worry about Lucia. Plenty of sugar daddies were waiting to shower their love on girls like her, and I was sure they could find one. That was bad of me, but I'm not really a good person, and I don't care. She was the one who started the humiliation when she came to tell me about Lucia's wedding. I'm not sure what happened after that, but I wish I had recorded her calling Ron a loser. He deserved to know what his wife and mother-in-law really thought of him. Update 3. Ron emailed me admitting how he had ruined everything. He had borrowed money from a friend to pay overdue rent, but defaulted again again because his client delayed payment for his writing work. The landlord gave him a notice to vacate the house. He asked my aunt to let them stay there for a few months, but my grandparents refused. Ron didn't know the truth, that the house wasn't my aunt's, but my grandparents', and my aunt lied, saying it was hers. They are all liars. Ron also mentioned that Lucia had lied about her education and job. She claimed to be a restaurant manager and exaggerated her salary. This led Ron to think they could follow our business plan together. I'm surprised he didn't notice Lucia's lack of intelligence during their dates. Did they even talk, or was it just casual encounters? He said he was giving up his writing dreams and looking for a job in his old field. I ignored his first email, but a few days later, he sent another one, this time apologizing. He expressed regret for betraying me and acknowledged that his life had gone downhill. He mentioned how my aunt took Lucia to manipulate him. It seems beauty has its advantages, even over the brightest minds. However, I have no desire to forgive Ron or reconcile with him. He's remorseful now, but he's a cheater. Once a cheater, always a cheater. His life is a mess, partly because I liquidated the trust fund, but I don't regret it. I was fair to myself. He made a choice, and now he has to live with it. I replied to his email, telling him never to contact me again, and I blocked him. I considered warning him that my aunt would probably leave him and Lucia once she found a better paying job, but why should I console him? He broke my heart by cheating on me with my cousin, and his misery is just gossip for me now. I discussed everything with my mom, and we had a good laugh. She said she was satisfied that karma had caught up with everyone. Update 4. Well, life is good. Much better than when I started writing here. It's been 2 years since everything fell apart, and there's a huge difference between my life and the lives of the people involved. I don't know where to start, but I'll try to keep it short. I'll talk about myself first, not because I'm self-centered, but just to give a small update to those who asked, and then I'll get to the interesting stuff. I still have my job in Leeds, and everything is going really well. I've even met someone here, and we're dating. As for Ron, he got a job, and according to some friends, he's miserable. He doesn't stop complaining about losing his dream job and now working in something he doesn't like, all because of a witch, meaning me. I could feel offended, but honestly, I'm happy about what's happening to him. He could have worked for a while, saved some money, and then tried again, but it seems he wasn't willing to make the effort. As for my aunt and cousin, the best thing happened. My grandparents kicked them out. They got tired of all the drama, and they asked them to leave. Now they're both renting together because they have nothing else to do, and neither of them is very useful. If I were them, I'd start looking for a new boyfriend quickly. It's not like Lucia will get younger or prettier, and intelligence isn't something she can improve either. Yes, I know I'm being harsh, but that's karma for you. Anyway, that wasn't as long as I thought it would be, but I think I've covered the most important stuff.